I'm Mark Robertson back with you talking about my book, Carrying Lawn Chairs, Youth Sports, and Other Parental Mindsets. The book, as you know, is divided into two parts if you've been watching it. The first part dealt mostly with parents and youth related directly to organized youth sports and how I oppose it for the most part, especially for very young kids. I wouldn't put kids in organized youth sports before age 10, maybe even 12. And I see a lot of wrong in youth sports, and there really aren't any answers. It's bad in itself, I think, for kids, for especially a very young age. And I have no problem with sports. I love sports, but getting started and they have the wrong motivations of parents. Who knows what it is? It's kind of a crazy scene if you are around it, the youth sports scene in this country. But the second part of my book, I talk about other situations and other topics related to parents and youth. And today's topic is self-esteem. Now, believe it or not, self-esteem is controversial. There's been quite a self-esteem movement in the country and education and other areas in the past number of years or even decades. They want kids to feel good about themselves. But then you have another group of people who say, well, you can't give them a false sense of self-worth. They can't say, 2 plus 2 is 5, and you say, oh, that's good. No, that's not good. 2 plus 2 is never 5. It never has been. It never will be. And the kids can be corrected on that. Kids have to know right and wrong. They have to be taught properly. But I think that kids need more of a sense of innately feeling good about themselves. That may go against the grain of people on one of the sides. And I think that they should feel worthy just because they are a child of God. They're made in the image and likeness of God, and they need to know that. They need to know that they are loved by their parents just for breathing and being themselves. And they don't have to accomplish things to get self-worth. Now, it's great. Accomplishments are great. Working hard at a project or doing something, giving a great effort and being successful as it, that does make you feel good. It does give you self-worth and self-esteem. I have no problem with that. But the kids shouldn't be forced into projects. Kids are different. They learn differently. These schools, we'll talk about schools in a later part of the book, but they put them all, they seem to treat them all the same. And kids are different. They learn differently. And you got kids that can't sit in a school all day. I mean, that's crazy. That's torture for kids, especially boys like myself. It was tough to sit in school all day and do writing and paperwork and things like that. It has nothing really to do with laziness or not wanting to work. It's just not an environment conducive to learning. And kids can learn in different environments, and that harms their self-esteem. They think, well, we must not be smart if I can't learn the same way the rest of the group does. So that's harmful for self-esteem as well. You got to be able to bring out the best in kids and how they can learn. And the kids learn differently, and they do things differently. The kids are different. Everybody has motivated abilities, things that they're good at naturally that need to be developed. And the whole self-esteem movement, yes, there's some problems with it, but overall the idea is good. Kids need to feel good about themselves, and each child is born with a special genius or design that they're meant to use, and to feel good about using their talents. And to find that out should be a goal of parents, to try to bring out their talents. And it's not easy, it's not clear cut, and I don't even have all the answers for it. But I know they can't be treated as robots. Kids are not robots. They're different. As anyone who has more than one child knows, kids in the same family are quite different by nature. And so kids are all different. They learn differently. They each have different fingerprints. We all have different fingerprints. We're all different. We learn differently. We need to have some self-knowledge about what we're good at, what gives us self-esteem, what we can do, what motivates us, what energizes us. And kids can learn about that as well. Now, they learn that through authentic play. They don't learn it at playing t-ball at age 5. They learn by have free play in the backyard. If they want to play some baseball or pick up games, that's where they have self-knowledge. Gaining self-knowledge and self-worth, it helps self-esteem. And you get self-knowledge. Children get it from play a lot, and natural play, authentic play. And that seems to be even sometimes criticized or made fun of these days. Kids just playing, they got to be organized. They got to be in organized sports. They got to be doing this. They got to be doing flashcards at age 3 so they can learn the math so they can get into Harvard. Things like that. It's crazy. It's nuts. it's too much. It's not good for the kids. It doesn't even help them in the long run. I mean, my gosh, parents are so worried about their kids getting ahead. It's either or. Either they don't care about them or they're obsessed with it, it seems like. I mean, let them be kids. My gosh, they'll figure out what they want to do. If they have self-knowledge, they'll know how to get along in life. And a lot of times parents just confuse the kids. And kids need to know that they can't have a false sense of self. No, I don't have a problem with that. But they need to know they're a walking and talking miracle. They need to appreciate their body, their eyes, their ears, their hair. It's a miracle. Billions and trillions of cells all working together. And we're a miracle every day, just walking down the street and breathing. We breathe all day long. We don't even realize it. That's for everybody to know, not just kids, but kids need to know that they're a miracle of God, created by God, and to be a miracle on this earth. And, so many times words are very powerful, and words can harm. They're like daggers. So parents, even don't make fun of your kids on anything. Do not make fun of them. Teasing is very harmful. And no parent is perfect. It's tough to be a parent, but somehow continue to try to look at your kids as miracles, as gifts from God, as God inspired. They are a miracle of God. And, when they're not doing their work or taking out the trash or doing whatever they're supposed to be doing, it gets challenging. But I beg parents to keep looking at these young people as miracles. And the schools, I'm critical of schools, and it's easy to be critical of things, but they bring a lot of harm to kids, in my opinion. They put them in, label them this, dyslexic, ADD, and all this other nonsense. And the kids think, oh my gosh, must be something wrong with me. I can't sit in a room for 8 hours a day and write down stuff. So I better take some drugs. So yeah, right, that'll help. It's crazy. It's nuts. Like I say, bring out the best in kids. Public education, it's with us, it's here, but it gets in the way of kids learning, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, and it harms a number of kids. And the kids will face obstacles in this world, and they will be ups and downs, and it's a tough world a lot of times, but if they have a foundation of self-worth, self-esteem, self-knowledge, that's the best way to get along in the world. And yes, you got to learn. You got to learn to read. You got to learn to write. You got to learn to do all the little details to get along in this world. But people are different. People have different talents, different abilities, different knacks, and that's how they do get along. We all try to get along in this world, knowing what our talents are. And kids need to learn the same thing. Get them started young. Get them doing what they enjoy doing, and they'll grow into that. They'll develop. Yes, talents need to be developed, and they'll want to develop it. But just forcing kids to do things, there's a fine line. If you have a kid taking music lessons, yes, it's a rigorous thing. It's rigorous to learn. It's tough to learn. But again, kids learn differently, and get them to the right way of learning. And yes, they need to give a good effort, but they're not all the same. We're not robots. All this conformity is not good, and it's harmful for kids, and it does hurt self-esteem. And I talked to a friend just a couple days ago. Boy, I don't know if he went to the church, but his parents went to the church he goes to, and he committed suicide. Why does a young person commit suicide? Well, they say they're depressed. Well, they say it's organic. Depression is organic. Well, I don't know anything about the situation. I know nothing about it. But I would bet there are some situations, very specific situations in this young person's life that came up, that they had a distorted view of themselves, that they had a hopelessness, that they saw they were different, or that they didn't get along, that they were never going to be able to get along because they couldn't do something in school, or they failed at something, or something like this, that they just had a warped perspective of the world and themselves. And even by well-meaning parents. I mean, the parents, they go to church. I don't know if the young person went to church. I don't know the situation at all. But I know in that situation, I'm not a medical expert. It could be something organic. But I would bet anything that it would be a situation in the child's past, in school. Something happened that gave him a distorted view of himself and of the world that would cause him to do take such a drastic action. And this is not a good situation. It's a tough situation. And obviously this person had no self-esteem. But the foundation for kids is to know that they're truly loved by their parents and God. And that's where self-esteem starts. And hopefully wish more and more kids could realize that. So thank you for being with us today, and we will see you next time.